Stories carry truth deeper than facts. They reach the heart, and they stay in the mind long after words fade. That is the reason we remember a story we heard as a child, yet we forget the lecture we studied last week. Stories are not just words on a page. They are living pictures painted in the imagination, and once they enter, they never leave. A story has the power to break down walls, to open the door of understanding, and to move us in ways cold information never can. Think about it. You may not remember the exact definition of a word you memorized, but you remember the tale your grandmother told you at night. You may not recall the grammar rules your teacher wrote on the board, but you can tell every detail of a story you once heard that stirred your emotions. This is why stories are so powerful for learning a language. They go past the mechanics of learning and go straight to the soul. When you hear a story in English, you are not just learning words, you are experiencing them. You are living them. You hear the rhythm, the tone, the pauses, and the emotions that carry those words. And in those moments, English is no longer a set of rules. It becomes alive. You are not just memorizing, you are connecting. And when you connect, you remember. That is why listening to stories is one of the greatest ways to improve your speaking. Because the story enters your ears, settles in your heart, and soon enough, it begins to flow out of your mouth. What you take in through listening is exactly what you will release through speaking. If you fill your mind with facts alone, your words will be dry. But if you fill your mind with stories, your words will carry life, energy, and meaning. Stories build bridges. They connect you to people across oceans and cultures. They allow you to understand not only the language, but the heart behind the language. A man or woman who learns through story does not simply speak words. They communicate feelings, they paint pictures, they inspire others to listen. And isn't that what real speaking is about? Not just saying something, but moving someone. Let me remind you, every great speaker you have ever heard, whether they were teaching, preaching, or inspiring, used stories. They knew that the mind may argue, but the heart listens, and once the heart is reached, the person is changed. That is what stories do. They change us. They give us courage when we are weak. They give us vision when we are blind, and they give us hope when everything around us seems hopeless. When you learn English through story, you are not just gaining vocabulary. You are gaining wisdom. You are learning how to take words and place them into real situations. You are learning how to connect phrases with feelings, sentences with emotions, and words with life itself. That is why you must never underestimate the power of listening to stories. They are your stepping stones toward fluency. And let me say this, stories stay. They stay when rules fade. They stay when lists of vocabulary slip away. They stay when you feel nervous, when you stand before others and your mind begins to tremble. In those moments, it is the story you remember, and the story gives you words, and the words give you strength. So do not just study English. Do not just look at books and rules. Sit down and listen to a story. Listen again and again until the rhythm of the words becomes your rhythm, until the voice of the story becomes a voice inside you. And then, when you open your mouth to speak, you will not only speak correctly. You will speak with power, because a story has taken root in you. A story has grown inside you, and that story will carry your words further than you ever imagined. And that, my friends, is why stories matter. Before the tongue can speak with confidence, the ear must first be trained to hear, absorb, and understand. That is a truth as old as time. Long before a child ever forms words, they listen. They listen to the sound of their mother's voice, the rhythm of laughter, the tone of comfort, and the rise and fall of words spoken around them. And from listening, speaking is born. It is the natural order. It is the way language was meant to be learned. Too many people rush to speak before they are ready. They believe that forcing the tongue will lead to fluency. But let me tell you, unless the ear has been trained, the tongue will stumble. Unless you have first listened, truly listened, your words will not flow with confidence. Listening is not a passive act. It is not just background noise. It is a discipline. It is the practice of opening your heart and your mind to the sound of the language until it becomes part of you. Think about it. When you first learned your native language, you did not open a grammar book. You did not sit down to memorize rules. You listened. You listened for months and months before you ever spoke a word. And when you finally did speak, it was natural. It was confident. It was alive. That is the same path you must follow when learning English. The ear must lead the way, and the tongue will follow. When you train your ear to hear English, you are doing more than collecting words. You are absorbing rhythm. You are catching tone. You are learning how the voice rises in a question, how it falls in an answer, how it carries joy, sorrow, anger, or peace. These are the colors of language, and only the ear can teach them. Words without tone are lifeless, but words shaped by the ear are words that live and breathe. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not grow impatient if at first all you can do is listen. That season of listening is not wasted. It is the foundation. Just as a house cannot stand without a firm base, so speaking cannot stand without listening. The stronger your listening, the stronger your speaking will be. The more you hear, the more natural your words will sound. The more you absorb, the more confident you will become. And let me say, this confidence is not born out of force. It is born out of familiarity. When you have listened long enough, the words no longer feel foreign. They feel like old friends. You know their sound, you know their shape, you know their rhythm, and when the time comes to speak, you do not speak as a stranger to the language. You speak as someone who belongs to it. But listening must be intentional. It cannot be careless or half-hearted. If you only hear the words without giving them your attention, they will slip away like water through your fingers. But if you listen with focus, with patience, with hunger to learn, those words will take root in your memory. They will build a home inside your mind, and from there, they will shape the voice that comes out of your mouth. That is why I urge you, make listening your daily habit. Let stories, conversations, and voices in English fill your ears, not once in a while, not only when you feel like it, but regularly, consistently, faithfully. For the more you listen, the more your ear will be trained, and when your ear is trained, your tongue will be free. Remember, the tongue speaks what the ear has learned. If the ear learns carelessly, the tongue will speak carelessly. But if the ear learns faithfully, the tongue will speak faithfully. If the ear learns with strength, the tongue will speak with strength. And if the ear learns with confidence, the tongue will speak with confidence. So let us not rush ahead of the process. Let us not force the tongue before the ear is ready. Instead, let us listen until the words are planted deep within us, until they flow naturally, until they rise with ease. And when that day comes, when you open your mouth to speak, you will not hesitate, you will not fear, because the language has already taken root in you through the ear. And that is why listening must always come first. A voice grows strong when it is used daily. Courage in speaking is born through repetition and persistence. You see, no one is born with confidence on their tongue. No one wakes up one morning and suddenly speaks with fluency, with power, with ease. Confidence is not a gift handed to a few. It is the reward of those who practice, day after day, moment after moment, refusing to quit. The tongue, like a muscle, grows stronger only when it is exercised. And if you will exercise it daily, you will discover that what once felt weak will grow into strength, and what once felt impossible will become second nature. Think about the athlete who trains each morning. He does not run one race and declare himself strong. He runs every day, he trains his body, he builds his endurance, and when the moment comes to stand on the track, he is ready because he has practiced. The same is true for your voice. If you wait for the perfect moment, if you wait until you feel ready, you will never speak. But if you take every opportunity to practice, if you repeat words, if you push yourself through mistakes, your voice will grow, your courage will rise, and your confidence will stand firm. Do not fear repetition. Repetition is the mother of mastery. The words you speak today may stumble, but the words you speak tomorrow will be clearer, and the words you speak next week will be stronger. Every time you repeat, you carve a deeper path in your memory. Every time you persist, you sharpen the sound of your voice, and little by little, without even realizing it, you begin to speak with courage. Some will say, "But I'm afraid of making mistakes." Let me tell you, mistakes are not your enemy. They are your teachers. Every mistake you make while speaking is a step forward. Every stumble is a lesson. Every error is a reminder that you are learning, that you are moving, that you are growing. And as long as you keep speaking, as long as you keep trying, those mistakes will transform into victories. The only true failure is silence, so speak daily. Speak to your friends, speak to your family, speak to yourself if no one else is there to listen. Walk around your room and describe what you see. Tell the story of your day in English. Take the story you heard yesterday and retell it in your own words. Do not wait for an audience. Practice wherever you are. For the more you speak, the more natural your voice will become. And let me remind you, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is speaking even when fear is present. Courage is opening your mouth when your heart is trembling. Courage is standing firm when your mind whispers, "You can't." And when you choose to speak in those moments, something remarkable happens. Fear begins to lose its grip, and courage begins to take its place. That is why persistence matters, because courage is not built in a day. It is built in the daily habit of speaking, in the routine of practice, in the refusal to give up. You will not see the change overnight, but if you keep going, you will look back after weeks, after months, and you will realize that the fear that once held you is gone, and in its place is a voice that speaks with strength. Let me say this with all certainty. Your voice has power. Your words have value. Do not keep them locked away in silence. The world does not need a perfect voice. The world needs your voice. And the only way it will grow, the only way it will shine, is if you use it, again and again, day after day, without giving up. So do not be discouraged if progress feels slow. Do not lose heart if mistakes pile up. Keep speaking, keep repeating, keep persisting, for every word you speak is a seed, and every seed, when nurtured, grows into a harvest of confidence and courage, and that is why you must never stop speaking. Language is not only a tool for learning, it is a bridge that connects people, cultures, and hearts across the world. When you speak, you are not simply arranging words, you are reaching across a distance. You are extending a hand to another human being and saying, "I want to understand you, and I want you to understand me." That is the miracle of language. It takes people who are separated by geography, by tradition, by history, and it brings them together in a bond that cannot be measured. Think about it for a moment. A person from one corner of the earth can sit down with someone from the other side, and through language the walls fall. Suddenly, two strangers are no longer strangers. They are people sharing thoughts, feelings, and stories. And it is through that connection that trust is built, relationships are formed, and hearts are touched. That is why learning English, or any language, is about more than grammar or vocabulary. It is about building bridges that connect lives. The truth is, we live in a world that often feels divided. divided by politics, divided by culture, divided by misunderstanding. But language has the power to rise above division. It creates common ground. It gives us a way to look each other in the eye and say, "You matter, your voice matters, your story matters." And when you learn to speak another language, you are not just opening a book, you are opening a door. This is why English has become such a vital bridge. It is spoken in every corner of the world. It is a language of trade, of travel, of science, of art, of everyday conversation. By learning English, you are gaining more than a skill. You are gaining access to a larger community. You are stepping onto a bridge that connects you to millions of others who may look different, live different, and think different, but who share the same longing to be understood. And here is something you must never forget. Language is not only about words, it is about people. The goal is not to speak perfectly, but to connect honestly. When you speak in English, you are not judged by how flawless your grammar is. You are remembered by how real your heart is. People do not cling to the perfection of your words. They cling to the sincerity of your spirit. That is the bridge. That is the connection. That is the power of language. When you use your voice to cross that bridge, you will discover something even greater. You will not only connect with others, you will grow yourself. Each new word expands your vision. Each conversation broadens your perspective. Each story told or heard in another language stretches your heart to hold more understanding, more compassion, more humanity. And in that growth, you become a stronger speaker. But more than that, you become a fuller human being. Do not underestimate the gift you carry when you speak. You may think you are just practicing English. You may think your voice is small. But to the person who longs to be understood, your words may be the bridge that changes their day, their perspective, even their life. And that, my friends, is why we must never treat language as just a tool for learning. It is a gift for connecting. It is a bridge for healing. It is a way for hearts to meet in a world that too often keeps them apart. So when you practice English, remember the greater purpose. You are not just preparing for a test. You are preparing for a conversation that could inspire someone. You are preparing for an opportunity that could open a door. You are preparing for a moment when your voice becomes the bridge someone else has been waiting for. And that is why language will always be more than words. It will always be the bridge that brings us together. The greatest barrier to speaking is not grammar or vocabulary. It is fear. When fear falls, fluency rises. You can memorize every word in the dictionary. You can study every rule in the grammar book. But if fear holds your tongue, your knowledge will remain locked inside. Fear is the wall that stands between what you know and what you are able to say. And until that wall comes down, you will never speak with freedom. Fear whispers lies. It tells you will sound foolish. You will make mistakes. People will laugh at you. And many people believe those lies, so they stay silent. They carry inside of them the ability to speak, but they never let it out. They hide behind hesitation, and in doing so, they keep themselves from the very growth they desire. But hear me clearly. Fear is not truth. Fear is a shadow. Fear is an illusion. It only has power if you give it power. Fluency does not come to the fearless. It comes to those who act in spite of fear. Courage is not about waiting until the fear disappears. Courage is about speaking while the fear is still present. Every time you open your mouth, even when your voice shakes, even when your heart pounds, you are striking a blow against fear. And the more you strike, the weaker it becomes. Think about a child learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, they bump into things, but do they stop? No. They get up again and again, and one day, without even realizing it, they are walking with strength. That is how you must approach speaking. Do not let the fear of falling keep you from taking steps. Every stumble brings you closer to fluency. Every mistake is proof that you are moving forward. The truth is, most people are not judging you as harshly as you think. When you speak, they are not counting your errors. They are listening to your message. They are not waiting to laugh at you. They are often admiring your courage for trying. And even if someone does criticize, remember this: your journey is not about their approval. Your journey is about your growth, your voice, your freedom. Fear thrives in silence. The less you speak, the stronger fear becomes. But when you begin to speak daily, when you push through the trembling and the doubt, fear begins to shrink. The wall begins to crack, and soon enough you discover that what once felt impossible is now natural. What once filled you with dread now fills you with joy. You must make a choice. Will you let fear rule your voice, or will you rise above it? The day you decide to speak in spite of fear is the day fluency begins. Not perfect fluency, not instant fluency, but living fluency, the kind that grows stronger each time you speak. Let me remind you of this: your voice was not meant to be silent. You are not given the ability to learn and understand just to keep it hidden inside. You were given a voice to use it, to share it, to connect with others. And though fear may tell you to stay quiet, you must not listen. For when fear falls, fluency rises. So take that step. Speak today. Speak tomorrow. Speak when it feels awkward. Speak when it feels uncertain. Speak until speaking becomes as natural as breathing. And with each word, each sentence, each story, fear will lose its grip, and your voice will find its freedom. And that is why you must never let fear have the final word. Great speakers are not made in a day. They are shaped step by step, story by story, word by word. No one stands on a stage, no one speaks with fluency, no one inspires with power the very first time they open their mouth. It is a process. It is a journey. It is the steady, patient work of building one word upon another, one sentence upon another, until over time the voice becomes strong and the heart becomes fearless. We live in a world that wants everything fast. People want instant results, instant progress, instant success, but language does not bend to that demand. Language grows like a seed. You plant it, you water it, you nurture it, and slowly it begins to break the soil. At first, it may seem small, fragile, uncertain, but with care, with patience, with time, that seed becomes a tree. And in the same way, your words, your practice, your daily steps become the tree of fluency. So do not despise small beginnings. If today you can only speak a few words, speak them. If tomorrow you can add a sentence, add it. If the next day you can tell a short story, tell it. Every step, no matter how small, is progress. Every word you speak is a brick laid in the foundation of your fluency. And if you keep building, if you keep adding, one day you will stand upon a structure you once thought impossible. Remember this: the great speakers you admire did not arrive at greatness overnight. They began with trembling voices. They stumbled. They made mistakes. They repeated themselves again and again. But they did not quit. They took the simple steps faithfully, day after day. And in time, their small steps turned into giant leaps. What once felt like weakness became their strength, and what once felt like failure became their testimony. Your growth will be the same. It will not come in a single moment, but in countless moments. It will not come through one grand effort, but through steady practice, and sometimes you may not even notice the change because it will feel slow. But if you look back after weeks, after months, you will see just how far you have come. What once filled you with fear will now feel natural. What once seemed impossible will now feel easy. Do not measure yourself against others. Each person's journey is different. Some may run ahead, some may walk slower, but what matters is not how fast you go, but that you keep going. Your steps are your own. Your growth is your own. And as long as you are moving forward, no matter the pace, you are on the path to becoming the speaker you were meant to be. And never forget the role of stories in this journey. Each story you hear, each story you tell, becomes another step. Stories shape your memory, they sharpen your listening, they strengthen your voice. And every time you share a story in English, you are not just practicing words, you are practicing connection. You are building bridges, you are training your voice to carry not only language but meaning. It may take time, but time is not your enemy. Time is your ally. Every day you practice, time is shaping you. Every day you speak, time is building you. And one day, when you least expect it, you will open your mouth and the words will come naturally, clearly, powerfully. And in that moment, you will realize that the countless small steps, the endless daily efforts, the patience and persistence, all of it was worth it. So be faithful in the little things, be patient with yourself. Celebrate the progress, even when it feels small. Because every word spoken, every story told, every effort made is a step closer to fluency. Great speakers are not born in a moment. They are shaped over time. And if you will commit yourself to the process, you too will rise into the greatness that comes step by step, story by story, word by word. And that is why growth is never sudden but always steady. Thank you for walking with me through these stories of learning and growth. Remember, your voice will grow step by step, story by story, word by word. If this message has inspired you, let it guide your practice each day. Be sure to like this video and subscribe so you never miss the next story. Together, we'll keep building bridges of language, courage, and connection.